Item number 2, resolution number 035-22, application number SE 22-199-CUP-OX. Consider a request from Leslie and Gregory Ramirez, landowners, for a conditional use permit for an oversized accessory building on property zoned RN1, Residential Neighborhood 1, in Section 9, Township 14, Range 24, located at 14946 West 156th Circle.
Ms. Kirks.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Michelle Kirks, Johnson County Planning. This is a request for an oversized accessory building on 1.77 acres in a residential neighborhood zoned RN1, located at 14946 West 156th Circle. The subject property is located here on the slide in front of you. So, Jace, the property is kind of nestled there between City of Olathe and City of Overland Park. Here is the aerial of the property. They are requesting a 1,728 square foot building. There's already a 120 square foot building on the property, so it'll be total of 1,848 square feet. The property is permitted by right to have a 1,131 square feet of accessory building on the property. So this request exceeds the permitted by right by 717 square feet. This is just a quick site plan of the property. The location of the building does comply with all setbacks in the RN1 zoning district for an accessory building. And here's the elevations. The structure would be constructed of wood siding, similar to what a home would be. Would have asphalt shingles, and the garage would be painted to match the home. So it would be very residential looking in quality and mix and match with the structure on the property now. Planning staff did recommend approval of this item. The Southwest Zoning Board also heard this item the Southeast Zoning Board heard this at their May 4th meeting, recommended approval, and no one from the public attended on the project.
Since this is a planning item, it's going to stay on action, but does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Were there any communications getting feedback, sorry, any communication with neighbors for this facility?
We did have an email from a neighbor who supported the project.
Okay, but do we routinely send out notices? And okay.
Yes, this is the conditional
order.
use permit. It's a public hearing, so we do send out notifications to property owners within 1,000 feet.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move to number 3.
Item number 3, resolution number 039-22, application number SE 22-201-PDF/FDP. AU, consider request from Woody Palmer of Stillwell Land Holdings, applicant and landowner, for a revised preliminary development plan, PDP, and final development plan, FDP, for the expansion of a self-storage facility on property in Section 18, Township 15, Range 25, located at 7225 West 207th Street.
Ms. Liniger.
That's not the right one. This is a, Michelle Leiniger, planning staff. This is a preliminary final development plan for an existing self-storage site located at 207th Street and Metcalf Avenue, the southwest corner. This shown in blue on your aerial. This is a close-up of the property. You can see how it's developed today. And what you see out there is part of. It was approved in 2018 for the 2 buildings, the outdoor storage area in the middle, and then there's a landscaping berm and landscaping around the front of the building along 207th Street, and then along the back of the lot. Here's a proposed development plan. It's pretty straightforward. The two red rectangles are the new buildings. No new landscaping is required because of the existing buildings and existing screening. However, a fire hydrant will have to be extended and installed on the property to meet the fire code requirements.
This is a planning item, and it's to stay on action. And does anybody have any comments? Commissioner O'Hara?
Yes, this is in my area, and it's right off, like you said, 207th and Metcalf. This is a little industrial park area, and there's no problem with this.
No other comments? Let's move to the next agenda item 4.
Item number 4, consider authorizing a contract amendment with McCarthy Building Companies Incorporated for guaranteed maximum price number 1, Turkey Creek Force Main Pipe Procurement for construction manager at-risk construction phase services for the Nelson Wastewater Treatment Facility Improvements Project, NELC 001, in an amount not to exceed $2,426,710.
Ms. McCarrick?
Thank you, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Susan Picaric with Wastewater again. So I won't review the background since I just went through the overview of the project delivery plan in the manager's memo during the regular meeting. This is a project that that we're coordinating with the City of Mission. They are planning to do pavement replacement project on Fox Ridge Drive. You see here highlighted in green. Our Turkey Creek pump station is located here on the map. In the red line you see is that Turkey Creek force main that needs to be replaced. It has had some repair needs, and it does need to be increased in capacity for the Nelson project. So what we want to do with this particular guaranteed maximum price is to go ahead and so the McCarthy can go ahead and order the pipe materials. It has a long lead time. Be able to get those pipe materials so that we can get that work done before the City of Mission does their project next spring. So this is GMP 1. The board has already authorized a contract with McCarthy, and then this will be an amendment to that contract. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Oh, does anyone have any questions? And do you want this to remain on action or go to consent? Any questions? Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. McCarrick, I'll have a couple of questions before next week. Please keep it on action.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. McCarrick. Let's move to 5.
Item number 5, sitting as the governing body of Fire District Number 2, consider approving a sanitary sewer installation agreement with Southern Meadows LLC and 2 sanitary sewer easements to connect the fire station at 18475 Mission Road to sanitary sewers at a cost not to exceed $35,401.54 to be paid from the Fire District Number 2 reserve funds.
Paul Davis, Director of Emergency Services, and I'm sitting for Chief Francis. We're requesting this item number 5 to be tabled due to additional information that was received just very recently relative to the scope of the project. We need more time to receive and consider that.
Thank you. We will table that. Move to number 6, which will be number 5.
Item number 6, consider authorizing a license agreement with Consolidated Fire District Number 2, CFD2, for the purpose of MedAct co-location and to provide usable space outlined in Exhibit A for MedAct personnel and ambulance, equipment, and supplies for a term of 10 years with a one-time payment of CFD2, or payment to CFD2, in the amount of $262,475 to be effective January 1, 2022, and authorizing a use of general fund reserves in an amount not to exceed $262,475.
Paul Davis, Department of Emergency Services Director. We're seeking the board approval for a license agreement with co-location with Consolidated Fire District 2 at their 63rd Mission Road Station. The term of this agreement, as indicated, would be for 10 years, retroactive to January 1st of 2022, and would be funded with general fund reserves in that amount not to exceed $262,475. The CFD2 board has approved this agreement already, and so now it's before the Board of County Commissioners. MEDAC currently occupies a portion of the fire station, and this location supports our Northeast Johnson County operations. The ambulance station here serves about 50,000 residents and responds to about 2,500 incidents per year. MEDAC and CFD2 jointly believe that this agreement is mutually beneficial. Much collaboration has occurred with the fire district, MEDAC, facilities, and legal, and we've arrived at this standardized agreement. We recommend approval for this 10-year agreement, and once again, with funds from the general fund reserves not to exceed $262,475.
Mr. Davis, you are wearing multiple hats today, so thank you for that great teamwork. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Mr. Ashcraft, Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Davis, can you remind us how that particular amount was arrived at?
Yes. In the agreement, we've indicated terms at cost per square foot. And this is very similar to what we did with Johnson County Fire District 1 and what will occur with other fire departments who seek these agreements. So we'll look at the square footage of the MEDAC specific space, also the shareable building space and circulation, and then subtract the dedicated fire space. We also apply multipliers for the number of staff for fire department and MEDAC that's going to be there, and arrive at percentages of cost share. In addition to that, arriving at the total payment, we have a $7 per square foot for operating expenses, $5 per square foot for capital replacement, and then 3% escalator for operating expenses over 10 years and 4% escalator for construction inflation over 10 years.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. That sounds like a thoughtful response. I did not see that in the briefing sheet. Was there an attachment that I did not get that outlined that?
It is included with the lease agreement, and then it's Exhibit B on that lease or license agreement.
Well, my apologies, that was not included in my handout, so I thank you.
So do you want to leave this on action or consent?
Consent's fine with me.
Consent, okay.
Excuse
We're going
me,
to move that to consent.
consent?
Let's move on to item number 6 now. Well, 7, I just made it 6 since we tabled the other. I tried to go ahead.
Item number 7, resolution number 034-22, consider adopting resolution number 034-22 to amend the fiscal year FY 2022 to 2026 Capital Improvement Program, CIP, to include Department of Emergency Services alarm upgrades, to authorize an exception to competition for an agreement with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the purchase of software, hardware, and technical services to replace the alarm desk radio systems, and to authorize a use of general fund reserves in an amount not to exceed $997,385.
Mr. Davis?
Paul Davis, Department of Emergency Services Director. This equipment is actually located at the jail at New Century, Kansas. This radio system allows the alarm desk officer to communicate with other detention officers throughout the facility and identify alarms via their portable radios. This request comes as the current equipment has outlived its intended life cycle, and the necessary components for repairs and minor modifications that have been performed internally over the last few years are no longer available, and its software is outdated. The equipment here is used very similarly to what we used in the County Communications Center on the sheriff's side and the ECC side, and it can identify the officer's radio who's transmitting. The new equipment will allow the alarm desk position to be integrated with the countywide radio system and accommodate data sharing with other dispatch consoles throughout the county. So with this consideration, we recommend that the board amend the fiscal year 2022-2026 CIP to include the upgrades and authorize exception to competition for an agreement with Motorola Solutions, and authorize the use of general fund reserves in that amount not to exceed $997,385.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is there any questions? Commissioner Myers?
I just read that this was the only vendor that we would be able to use for this item, and are we satisfied it's still the best and most prudent way to go, and does the system work well for what we're using it for?
Well, the system works well, and we are satisfied. It's unfortunate because of so many proprietary network softwares and hardwares that we're limited to one vendor. We recognize that and realize that we're kind of in a bind with this.
Any more questions? Mr. Ashcraft? Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To build on Commissioner Myers' question, which I think anyone who looks at it would reasonably ask, what steps do we take or can we take to make sure that Motorola is being cost competitive in consideration with its dealings with us? Do we look at what they price similar equipment or identical equipment to other users? How do we manage that expectation, that cost expectation?
We do a cost comparison, and frankly, our experts at the Emergency Communications Center vet this very carefully to make sure that the components are necessary and that there is no other means to doing that. As far as cost comparison, each center is a little bit different. Each alarm desk, if you will, is a little bit different, but generally, we believe that we're being dealt with fairly. In addition to that, we worked with our legal department very extensively to make sure that there wasn't anything in hiding that we missed, and also knowing that we're prepared or preparing steps to have another agreement very soon with Motorola for the larger communications network. We're confident that we're being dealt with fairly.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm good with this going to consent if you'd like, but Mr. Davis, I would be interested in having a further conversation offline, particularly about your observations that you feel that this is a fair price. I'm not questioning that, but I'd be interested in understanding how you assess that specifically, but generally in the profession, because these kind of binding agreements, I fear, are fraught with pricing bias.
Is Commission okay with going to consent? Yes, okay. All right, we'll move that to consent. So, well, bye, Mr. Davis. Let's move to number 8.
You'll be back.
IFB number 2022-023. Consider authorizing a contract with Minnesota Elevator for KONA MRL IDA 1217-NC9 elevator repair at the New Century Adult Detention Center in the amount of $108,700.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Joe Waters, Assistant County Manager and Interim Director of Facilities Management. I really would like to have Paul do this presentation, apparently. This is a pretty straightforward piece of work that's needed to repair an elevator at the New Century Adult Detention Center. This elevator is in a bank of elevators. They are one common brand, and they have one common software and parts and pieces in order for them to work as one, to move the large amount of activity that we have in moving inmates up and down through the building out at New Century. The main bearing on this elevator is failing. We need to replace it so that it can continue to operate. We planned for this in the CRP and then had anticipated an expense of between $100,000 and $120,000. We did determine that we had an opportunity, or believed we had a good opportunity, to put this out for bid. There are several, maybe 3 firms that could do work like this. There was a lot of outreach to try to get a heightened sense of awareness of our project. In the end, we had one bidder. We are satisfied with that price, as it is within the funds that we had anticipated. It is also consistent with, as we look at the rates that we have with that same company who provides elevator service on all of our elevators for the facilities department. So that we believe that it is a good, fair price. Had hoped that we would get greater competition, but that didn't happen. But we are comfortable with the price, and with that, I would stand for any questions.
Mr. Waters, in my previous life as a developer and having multiple communities with elevators and hospital boards with elevators and other projects, this is really a fair price. And there's not a lot of vendors out there. So, does anybody else have any comments?
We could put this on the consent.
I would agree. Is everybody okay with that? Mr. Ashcraft, Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm fine with moving it to consent, but Mr. Waters, you said all the right words, but to follow up, you said there were, I think, 3 firms possible that sounds like that work in this area, geographic area, that, and all 3 of those firms were one of the 7, or part of the 7 that actually reviewed the IFB, I take it?
I am not sure about that.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate you taking the extra step to try to make sure that those vendors are aware. I'm just wondering, 1,166 firms were notified. Is that a meaningful number? I can't imagine that there are 1,000 elevator vendors in the region. So what do you do with that information? Or what should we do with that information?
I know that every vendor that has expressed an interest in anything related to that category of work, which I presume would be elevators, escalators, that sort of thing, that may be suppliers and vendors that are providers of equipment, not just installers. So I know that everyone who has expressed an interest to our organization in any work like this was notified. Okay. So in that regard, it's meaningful.
Thank you.
With that, does anybody else have any comments? Is there anything to add?
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm going to adjourn.
Emotions?
Well, that concludes the items on the printed agenda, and we will adjourn, and then at 2 o'clock, we will start with our committee of the whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.